gentlemen, bienvenue, welcome. I'm not even going to continue with that because I know at least one person who listens to us actually speaks German, and there's also French words in there, and I can't
I
do
was
any
gonna
of it.
say,
Anyway,
isn't Kurt German? We speak doing German things.
hey, listen, Alan Cumming did that role. I think it's appropriate. All right, well, welcome everybody to Simply Amazing. Hi, I am Lisa, aka Nocturne, and of course we have the fantastic, absolutely wonderful.
What's up, guys? This is Lauren, your friendly neighborhood bye, and let me tell you, if I wasn't tempted to burn things down before, I am today.
Oh yeah, no, like it's the Inferno has begun. Like it's burn, baby,
Mhm.
burn. Disco, Mystique is Inferno, burn, baby, burn.
I don't know. I would
It's
say more it's Destiny's Inferno because Mystique just does what Destiny wants, guys. Destiny's the real player here. Okay.
it is true. It is Destiny's Inferno. It's Mystique's Inferno. It's the whole place is just going to be coming down. But before we get into all that, I need to say like um you know we're getting so much amazing feedback from everybody about the podcast, and I have to say after the last episode we had some really awesome discussion in the Krakoa Discord with some people, so we just wanted to shout that out to Slacker and Disc and Satan and Ray and everybody in there, of course, Iron and 3 of 13. You guys are freaking awesome, and we're gonna keep talking to you, and if you have any ideas, let us know because we'll talk about whatever the heck you want. I know you guys want us to do a fan cast, which is going to be interesting because I'm almost 40, so I'm like I don't does Kirsten Dunst still do movies? I don't know.
I mean, I'm 26 and I forget actors nowadays too, but I just want to say I love how already on this podcast we've said shout out to Satan. So whoever has a Satan username, you're amazing. Thank you for allowing Lisa to do that. It was a privilege for me to hear.
Yeah, but please, but Nana, if you're listening, it's not the actual Satan. So yeah, we're just having a great time, and wherever you guys find us, like come talk to us because all we want to do is talk about Nightcrawler and anything related to Nightcrawler. So, whether it's on Twitter or Discord or Facebook or in real life, I literally had a conversation with my boss, like the top of my company a couple days ago about X-Men. It was awesome. So anywhere you want to talk to us about it, let's talk about it. It's fun.
Yes, bother us anywhere, everywhere. And yeah, we're gonna have a great time because I don't think I've ever talked to this many people about Nightcrawler in my life. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm having the time of my life. So I mean, let's just get into it. Inferno number 2, right? I mean, Kurt is in this issue, so woo! Among many, many other things happening. And before we filmed this, guys, um, Lisa and I were talking. We were like, well, how do we want to do this episode? Because this was there's so much to happen in this issue. There's so much we want to talk about. And honestly, we just decided instead of doing a recap and then having our thoughts afterwards, we're just going to review and recap it all at once. We're just going to go page by page talking about what happened and how it made us feel. So, if you got your copy with you, feel free to read along because we're just going to talk about what's happening on the pages as we go along. It's going to be a great time.
Let's do it. I mean, I'm already on the first page. It says, then the Oracle. We got Destiny's little fire face. We got Mystique. She's walking in a circle.
Oh.
Next page already. Now, this is where it starts to get really effing interesting because this is where things start to draw parallels that I did not pick up on until someone on Twitter pointed it out. That this is where it's awesome. So Mystique transforms herself into Magneto. She gets into Island M. And the whole purpose is so, as we move to the next page, so she can still steal Xavier's helmet and then get away with it. In stealing Xavier's helmet, she turns into Xavier to go to Sinister. Sinister sees right through it. He knows it's her. But she goes to Sinister in what we are now clearly seeing to get Destiny's DNA so she can resurrect her. Yes. To play this role. But Sinister sees right through it. And then she, as Xavier, she goes to the 5 to actually resurrect Destiny. And then uses Hope essentially treating her like, oh, you're gonna be my little Padawan. You're gonna, we're gonna take good care of you, girl. Here you go. Like,
I
you know,
mean, I loved that because I love how she, as Charles, gives Hope the helmet and says, "No, you've earned it." Like, so Hope thinks Xavier himself gave her the cerebral helmet and said, "You keep it." And I'm like, bro, where's the comic issue that's coming out when Hope's gonna have that helmet and Xavier's gonna be like, "Why the fuck do you have my helmet?" You know what I mean? Like, where is that
exact.
at? And this whole thing, before we get to the next part, because I'm going to talk about the next part a lot, the connections here are amazing because with Mystique transforming into Magneto and stuff, it explains what's happening in Trial of Magneto, right? All
Yes,
the
yes.
parallels there. That's what it parallels to. And it's insane how they've connected those things because if you're like, I don't, I care about Inferno, but I don't want to read Trial of Magneto, or vice versa, too bad. You got to read them both now, guys, because they connect. And it's amazing and it works and it explains a lot of crazy shit, y'all.
It's so funny because I've seen a lot of people online, a criticism of Trial of Magneto is people have said it doesn't feel like it's connected to the greater X-Men events like Inferno. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have Inferno number 2, which makes it clear that the events of Trial of Magneto are why, or the events of Inferno are while Trial of Magneto could happen. Like, what Mystique did in Inferno led into what made Trial of Magneto possible. That's what's so amazing, and it's incredible story weaving.
Yeah, and basically everything Mystique has done as Magneto is being used against Magneto and Trial of Magneto, which is hysterical because poor Eric is like, he's totally
Oh
like, well, I didn't do it, but also, fuck you guys, I did. If you guys really think, and it's like,
yeah,
you didn't
no,
do it.
no, poor Eric. No, poor Eric, poor Charles. There's none of that. They get none of that. And let me tell you, I'm a Magneto lover. I love Magneto, but they get none of that for all the bullshit that they've pulled on this entire thing. And we're gonna see it as we get through this issue. All right.
Eric can get poor for Trial of Magneto, but that's it, nothing else. But he gets more leeway than Charles and Moira for sure. Like they get
Oh no,
literally nothing. They get negative anything.
I
But
have a new name for Charles. I have a new name for Professor Charles Xavier. His name is Professor Charles Gaslighter. That is his new name. Because all he's doing is gaslighting everybody all the time, as we see during the vote, which is amazing because he tries to act like he's ahead of the game, and it's so clear that everyone else is 3 steps ahead. We'll get there. We'll get there. Now I'm 5 steps ahead of us.
yes,
So
yes, yes. So
we'll
let's get
get
into
there.
the next part, which is one of
Okay.
my favorite parts. There's multiple favorite parts of this for me. But so, anyways, so back where Mystique has the as impersonating and shapeshifted into Xavier has gone to fight to resurrect Destiny. The next few pages we see Destiny and Raven talking to each other again for the first time in decades. Decades. And
Yeah,
let
this
me
is
tell
pretty.
you, the first thing you notice is that Irene, Destiny, is not the age at which she died. She has been resurrected, and she is now younger again. And specifically, Mystique says, yes, you're the age you were when we first met. And then she goes, it's my welcome back gift for the both of us. I know, Lisa, you want to talk about this, but let me finish this and we'll
Okay.
come back to it
Yes. Okay.
because we need to talk about it.
Yes.
And so they talk, and Mystique's like, "Oh, I missed you," and Destiny is like, "How long been out?" And then all the timelines start catching up to her at once because of her power, which is insane. I mean, imagine having to piece all of this shit back together with her power. Um,
I
and
can't
I just
even. I
love
mean,
this because I love the storytelling here because they write that during the first week, Destiny was almost driven mad. She was lost, but then the second week was even harder than that.
mhm.
And love brought her back, and supposedly even going on to say Mystique had changed. She thought that the years had made her hard, so she was surprised when Destiny asked, "What's happened to you? What have you done? What have you become?" And she's even more surprised that broke her. And then week 3 brought forgiveness and a reforged alliance of heart and purpose for all mutants, but most of all for each other. So basically, they fucked for a week, as they
Yeah,
deserve after being decades of apart.
I like
God bless.
week three. That's a whole lot of words for they be fucking. Like,
They deserve it. And then
yeah,
week 4, after they got all that out of the system, they're like, all right, we're back in this gay ass shit. And they're like, the gays are gonna get shit back on the table. The gay agenda is back, and I'm here for it, ladies. And
Yes.
gentlemen, thank you very much.
And let the women do the work. We are here. We are taking over. And yes, absolutely. And before we're going to move on to the vote, because the vote is literally wig snatch after wig snatch after wig snatch. I was in public in San Antonio in an Uber and then in an airport and then on an airplane reading this issue, gasping over it, and I having to apologize to people, being like, I'm sorry, I'm just really excited about this. Okay, so just wanting to talk about the Raven of it all here. Oh, first I want to say Hope is adorable when she's like, I did it. I'm like, girl, yes, you did. I'm so proud of you. I wish your daddy Cable was here to see this. But so I will say, and this is going to be a minor critique. I want to throw this out there, guys. Minor critique. I felt that Mystique's words when she says, it's my welcome back gift for the both of us. That to me was a very jarring moment that pulled me right out of the moment and reminded me very clearly in that moment that this is being written by a man. Because that did not feel like, it just didn't feel like something a woman would say to another woman. I don't know. Mystique loved every damn crevice of that 80-year-old body. Like, Mystique worshipped her. And it's like, I've read a lot of people have the argument of, well, maybe it's all about they want to spend the time together and all that stuff. And listen, I know there's a lot of ways to interpret it. I'm just saying my experience in reading it, I literally stopped on that page. It just was so jarring to me to read and be like, ooh, and then moving on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have been. I think the wording was off. I mean, when he first pointed out to me, I was like, "Oh, I see that." But then, after reading it again and talking to some other people, I mean, it makes sense logically as well for Mystique to have her, be resurrected at a younger age, not because Mystique didn't love her how she looked or anything as older, but because Destiny's not immortal as Mystique is in a lot of ways because of her abilities. Destiny was
Mm-hmm.
like, she can die once she of old age very easily. And so why would she go through all this trouble and all this time and after decades just resurrect her back in an old age where she could lose her again within years or sooner? Like that, that doesn't make sense. She wants the most time with her in terms of that's just the reality of being not immortal, right?
I get
And
that.
that
I
said,
totally get that.
and she has no idea if Destiny dies, even though yes, resurrection exists on Krakoa, now that people know what she's been doing, would they allow it again if Destiny died? So she has to be very careful. But yeah, when you point out to me, I was like, yeah, the wording was kind of shit. Like, a dude clearly just didn't think about the wording enough here. Probably would have been better to be pure read by a woman or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something about it just didn't. It just really. And again, you know, everybody has their interpretation. I'm not here to say that anyone's interpretation is right or wrong. I'm just saying, as I was reading it, I had to stop at that moment to say, this just doesn't gel with me. That's all. But
Yeah.
listen, the issue is still brilliant, and the whole series is still brilliant. It's still an absolute masterpiece, and I'm enjoying every
Hey,
minute of
it's
it.
okay.
So,
We're gonna talk about how much your masterpiece once you get there. You can have a criticism.
absolutely,
It's
exactly.
valid.
Let me tell
And
you,
I
like Picasso got critiques. It's all good.
And so, with that said, speaking of critiques and things like shade and Wednesday Snatch and things like that, we go into the vote, and they are voting to see whether or not Destiny should have a role on the council, even though nobody knew she was resurrected until she stepped foot in their last issue, which is fantastic. So Charles is clearly very unhappy about this because he's really pissed, but he's trying to, maintain his image as a quality leader, quote, quote. But he's pissed. How was she resurrected? And who oversaw it? But, we'll have to wait for this later, I know, but I will definitely be following up on this. And Mystique is like, oh, okay, well, where are we voting on? Something monumental, I hope. And then
The
Charles is like,
shade,
oh, we're
all the
just going to
shade.
remove you. We're going to remove you. And Destiny's like, would you like for me to tell you how it's going to go? Oh, I love her so much. Amazing.
I gagged. I audibly gasped when I read that. I was like sitting in the lobby of the hotel I was at, waiting for my Uber, gasping like, "Oh my gosh!" I like Destiny. Like, thank you, Destiny, for being back and putting this man in his place.
the way Charles had nothing to say to that. Literally, he could say nothing. But anyways, so the votes. Charles votes obviously against her joining the council because he's really pissed off. Erica's siding with his husband, and he just needs to learn to think for himself. But whatever. He says no. Storm says no.
Which
Yep,
is fair.
Storm says no as well.
I wouldn't expect Storm to vote for anything Mystique wants ever. Like there's no love between them.
Well, especially if there's so many questions that aren't answered. How is she resurrected and stuff? Like, why would you want somebody that you don't know how they came back and stuff and so
well, that's it. They literally well, yeah, that's it. So like, why? Yeah. So I could see Storm saying, you know, we don't know what the hell's going on here. Absolutely not. But here's where it gets interesting, right? Here's where it gets interesting.
So Kurt. So the next this is interesting because of how many panels this takes up too. There's a panel with Kurt, our beloved Nightcrawler, sitting in the chair, looking down, you know, pondering to himself. Mystique looks at him, almost
she gives him a look.
Possibly a glare or something, you know, up to interpretation. But she definitely gives him a look, and Kurt goes, it's probably pointless, but I'll vote yes because I think it will please you, Mother, and thus it would please me to do so. And then Mystique goes, thank you, Kurt. And I just hear that in my head. I'm like, what the fuck does she have on this man of mine? And you know what, Kurt? That can't be the only reason that you voted.
No, I think there's something.
It can't be. There's no that's not the only reason, Boo Boo. Don't even act like it is.
Yeah, I think there's something behind it. I think there's so over the next couple pages we see a lot of meetings that we're going to go over, and there's not one between Mystique and Kurt. I think there is one that we're going to see. There has to be because just from like a publishing standpoint, like you don't give up that much real estate to like a nothing story that you're not going to do anything with. Like the fact that he hesitated and that she gave him that look, that incredibly loaded look, and he avoided her gaze very, very clearly. And then the way he words it is not like, I would be so happy to make you happy, or like, your happiness is my happiness. His wording is so clear, is that I want to make you happy, and by me making you happy, it will make me happy. Like, there's a deal here somewhere that we're going to hear about or know about. There has to be. It's just, I can't imagine it because, so we have our own, there's a Nightcrawler Discord for any of you who are interested in joining. Please come and join us. We're actually running a fantastic fanfic and fan art challenge right now, and there's a fantastic cash prize for it. So please come and join us. In the Discord, Imperious Rex brought up she didn't understand why anyone thinks that Kurt would side with Charles, because, and I kind of get both sides. Like, I get why Kurt would be like, let's bring Destiny back because everybody's getting a chance to come back, so it would be kind of hypocritical to say we should pick and choose who can come back. And he also voted to bring the Scarlet Witch back. So yes, and Imperious Rex brings that up. But the other side is, Kurt's always been very close to Charles, even though Charles is a dick and we hate him. He's always been very close to him, and he's always trusted him. So,
all of our X-Men have. That's the thing, guys. All of them, including Emma Frost, which I named that name specifically because of what happens later this issue, which we will get to. All of these brilliant, wonderful characters that we love, that we're like, man, they should be smarter than to, believe in Xavier anymore. Bruh, everything that happened since the 60s is still canon, basically. Like, so they grew up with this guy. He's literally a father to them, and not the father that, not in the way for most of them, at least some of them, sure, but for most of them, he's not the father that, like, man, suddenly I've realized he's been abusive and all this stuff for years. They're still like, yeah, he's questionable, but he's still our dad, basically. Like, but so, yeah, I'm with you. I see that side, but at the same time, I actually don't think, I disagree slightly on that there was a deal made beforehand, because the look Mystique gave him was almost like a guilt trip thing, and he took it, and then his response, I actually read as passive aggressive. Because he says it's probably pointless, which is passive aggressive as shit. But I'll vote yes because I think it will please you, Mother, and thus it would please me to do so. Like, I imagine a sassy teenager like me at 15 years old saying that shit to my mother, pissing me off. Like, I love my mother, but we had problems when I was younger, which is valid, growing pains.
Yeah, of course, of course.
That's how he said it, and she goes, thank you, Kurt. So I actually think that at some point, if this is written well, that Kurt is going to be like, oh, okay, so do you feel better now that I supported you, even though I didn't know what you're doing? Are you going to tell me what's going on? Mystique's going to be like, oh, thanks for supporting me. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what's going on. And he's going to blow up on her, and he's going to be like, what the fuck? I backed you up. I thought you would actually tell me something for once. But no, you're still the same woman before, and it's going to create this whole family thing, right? And I think if that's the case, if I'm reading into this right, I think that actually works very well. So we've just got to hang in there for the next issue or
Possibly.
two.
That's possible.
Because I
That's
think
entirely
it's good for her.
possible. It could be. It could be that that literally there's pictures of cliffs right behind them, and she could be giving him a look like, "Listen, bitch, my aim has gotten a lot better in the past 30 years. So just try me because I'll take you right up to that
Yep.
cliff and throw you off again. Like, don't
Yep.
even try it. Who
See,
knows?
and that's a whole other episode because I completely disagree with that shit. She does not completely hate Kurt.
No, I
She's
don't
just
think she
selfish
hates
and
him.
doesn't
She doesn't
care.
hate him.
The fact that people are like, oh, she just anyways. But
I don't
yeah,
think. Okay, so can I really quick aside? Maybe this will make it, and maybe not. I don't think Mystique actually hates Kurt. But I don't think But I think Mystique is a sociopath, and I don't think that she's
she
capable
is.
of really loving many people in her life. That's basically
Yeah,
it.
I agree. And I
Mhm.
honestly think we have F's on that because I feel like we need to delve into that because
Oh yeah,
people are just, it's black and white. It's like, no, she's a very gray character for a reason. But
exactly.
yeah, so, that was, that's how Kurt voted for now. Um, and then after that, Exodus was next. And, not gonna go too much in details here, but, Exodus, we see a scene where Mystique clearly went to Exodus beforehand and discussed trying to get his support for it. She basically told him exactly what she's going to do, bring Destiny back, just without saying her name, just said what she would do and stuff. Oh, she did say her name, actually. Sorry, I'm rereading it. And he says, all right, I'm a believer. Cue the Shrek song. So he
Yeah,
ends up saying, because of that previous conversation with Mystique, yes, he votes to resurrect Destiny.
it's the next few pages. Mystique basically plays into every single character's um like there you go. She plays into
Yes,
what she gives them exactly what they need to hear, or in Emma Frost's case, exactly what she needs.
because
um
she's a sociopath and she knows exactly how to manipulate people. You're right.
yeah, she's a sociopath and a narcissist, and she knows how to manipulate people, and so she gives them exactly what they need, and that's how she gets them all.
Yep. So Censor ends up voting yes.
Mhm.
Kate Pride votes no, and she looks pissed off as shit. It's
I
actually
I
pretty
love
comical on her face
I
there.
love that. I just love that little picture of her. Like, I love that little expression. It's just so well drawn
She looks
because,
like a really pissed off teenager. Like, God, not again, this bitch.
but no, it also it's such a mood. Like, that image is like if you've ever been a server, that expression is like the person who walks in 5 minutes before closing and is like, but you're still
Oh
open
my
though. And it's like,
God, yes.
oh my God, though. Oh my God. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
yeah, like
Yep.
that's that expression. It's such a mood. Everybody has felt that kind of thing. And that's what I love about that whole panel. Like,
A hundred
kudos.
percent.
Kudos. It's such a good
I
panel.
couldn't agree more. And
Mhm.
so at that point, Xavier proclaims. So we're tied 4-4. And it comes to Shaw. And, Mystique went and talked to Shaw, of course, blah, blah, blah. And Shaw votes in favor. He votes yes. So now the vote is 5-4. And then the last vote goes to Emma. And this one actually interests me because
What's in the box?
Emma is right, and Emma is also one of those characters that everybody sees nowadays as such a good guy, but she's actually a pretty great character as well. Especially with her past as a villain, and then she's evolved over time. But like, she's still very I'm gonna do what I think is right, whether it's with the rules or not, kind of thing, just
Hmm.
different ways of Mystique. And so eventually, Mystique gets this box that has something in it Emma really, really wants, and Mystique had to get it, quote, the old fashioned way, right? Stealing it.
She went to
And so
Jared.
yeah. So eventually Emma gives her what she wants to get this box of whatever that is. So hopefully we'll find out what that is. And Emma votes yes. So that means welcome to the Quiet Council, Destiny. And then I love this. Destiny really goes, thank you. It feels good to be back. It feels even better to be wanted.
Yes,
Love it.
queen. Yes.
I
Tell
love it.
them. Tell them how it is.
And you guys remember how Xavier's like, oh, right after this, I'm going to call for another vote. Basically, try and put like Mystique and Destiny and all these people in their place. Well, right after Destiny says, thank you guys for having me and making me feel wanted, she goes, now, didn't you say something about calling another vote, Charles? Or do you want to take my word for how it's going to go and spare yourself a painful and pointless exercise? And Magneto and Charles look at each other, and then Xavier goes, I think we're done for the day.
Yeah.
So
He's like, I think we're gonna do a half day, guys. Like, everybody go home early. It's all good, you know. Everybody
He's
go
got to
home.
go home and cry to Eric about it. And Eric's got to pat him on the back and say, there. And it's like, oh, okay, get
No,
out. We got
here's
it.
a,
Destiny's
here's
here.
the thing. They don't have to go home and cry. They have to go to the boss, and they'll let the boss in on the bad news, which is that the one thing she asked them for, they couldn't do. Just the one thing. Like, Moira, God bless. And let me tell you, I'm no fan of her either. I think she's a villain.
She can take
Moira,
credit. She is a villain. Now
yes,
she
but
is.
she is. But Moira, God bless, was like, I'm going to give you guys like this blueprint for the salvation of mutants for the time being to make everything great. And all I ask is this one goddamn thing. And they couldn't even do it. Like, they just couldn't
Well,
even do it.
and see, here's the thing. This is, again, here's another way why Magneto, even if he's still problematic, he's not a true villain to me in this case still, and why he gets some leniency. Because they go, Charles and Eric, go tell Moira. Moira loses her shit and starts saying, like, blah, 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 and, like, how dare you guys? And then Moira looks at Magneto specifically, and says, can you kill her in terms of killing Destiny? And he says, well, she wears a metal helmet on her head, but I won't do it. He actually says, like her or not, she sits on council. I'm not a child. I can tolerate a certain level of pragmatism when it comes to how things are run here in Paradise, but I've waited my whole life for this place. I won't defile it just because you, as in Moira, find it expedient. And then Moira loses
Yes.
her shit and goes, you have to do something. No, he doesn't. Fuck off, Moira. Go do the hard work yourself. I'm tired of you. Take a nap.
Exactly. Moira is like the dad who doesn't pay child support, and like the mom's like, it's a little tight this year, so we're not doing Christmas. And the dad's like, well, you have to do Christmas. It's like, well, bitch, do something, you. Why don't you do something, you know? I do love how like Magneto's thing, it's just this one like panel, but I won't do that. And it's like it just brings me back to like singing Meatloaf at karaoke.
Right, for sure. And you got some pages here with the Orcus Forge where some stuff's happening with Nimrod and who's this lady again? I don't remember.
Oh,
There's not much in this
that's
issue.
Omega Sentinel. I don't yeah.
There you go, yeah. So there's not much here. I'm sure, if you're very into that part of the storyline, there's stuff there that's important. Like it wouldn't be there if it wasn't important, but I think that's gonna involve more in like the next issue or two of Inferno. With that said, so Moira yells at Eric and Charles to like do something, and Moira's just butthurt as well. But then we go to Sage, and she is chilling in the mutant ops, looking at technology stuff, doing her thing, and she's about to go to lunch, and then she realizes that there is some mission log that was redacted by the Xavier override. So she might be figuring out, my guess is she's figuring out that there's been so many failed attempts of these missions that remember in the past we've learned that the mutants are doing
Wait,
over and over again.
are you sure that's not Mystique? So what happens is, though, if you look, it's Sage leaves, and then in the next page turns into a man, and then turns
Oh,
into a
that's
woman.
true.
Yeah. So I think it's Mystique.
That you're right, I guess. That is Mystique. And she's doing research and clearly seeing I'm guessing connects to the whole thing that Xavier's been sending these mutants on the same mission over and over, and the Nimrod thing or something else, because this is the Paris Safe House Getaway. Yeah, so there's something happening that she's uncovering.
Well, this is them going over and over again to this like fight with Orcus, and they
Yeah.
keep dying,
Mhm.
but they keep sending the same team members over and over and over again. And now you like in the next page you can see in the panels
Mhm.
it's her, and then she turns into that bearded hot like the zaddy, and then she takes the scientist's card and turns into the scientist.
Yes, you're right. So that is Mystique, that was Sage, then becomes this dude, then becomes a scientist lady, walks
Sneaky
in there.
girl. Sneaky.
Yep. She's seeing some crazy shit.
With the monkeys.
All this crazy stuff. And then, oh, I really loved the endings of these issues. So we're almost there, guys. We're probably gonna go a little over, but bear with us. There's so much to talk about.
I
So
will say, I want to say that I've seen the Statue of Victory in person. It's very beautiful. Just want to say that.
I bet. So at the Louvre, it looked like so Magneto, Charles, and Moira have all decided they need to get somebody in their corner because oh no, there's people that are steps ahead of us. We're about her. We need somebody to be on our side, right? So they decide to try to entrust Emma Frost with everything that's happened, including the fact that Moira is in fact alive. In fact, that Moira is a mutant, and in fact that Moira has seen 10 lives, or she's on her episode 9, I guess. And
Hmm.
she gives all this to Emma. Emma takes it all in with her, powers and stuff. And bruh, the second she gets it all in, Xavier's like, hey, let me help you. It's all good. And she's like, don't touch me.
Oh yeah,
And
she
she is
has a
pissed.
moment.
She is pissed about how long they've known this crap and how long they've held it in. And so they were like, look, but we trust you. That's why we told you this. Your nation needs you. And Emma gets in her diamond form, which is very specific. And I feel like it's because she's so pissed off. She goes, of course, for the children. You've manipulated me for years. Well, I'm immunized on the council, so I'll give the matter the proper consideration. But my loyalty, you arrogant fools have lost that forever. As she should say. She's right.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's very important to note that she gets into her diamond form because I'm pretty sure her diamond form is immune to telepathy. So I think that's like her way of saying like she is like putting all her shields up. She is like I am now completely cutting myself off from all of you. Like I don't trust a single one of you. And I think one of the big things like to point out here is like all of these mutants have entered into like this new world and this new thing under circumstances that they have not been given. Like they're all assuming they all assume one thing, but the truth is something completely different, and it's wrong. It's not the right thing to do. That you shouldn't be entering into something so life changing without knowing exactly what you're entering into. I think is what it comes down to, and I think that's what makes Emma so angry here, knowing that essentially her entire she has been complicit in in selling this lie to her race, and now that she knows how much of a lie it is, now it's like it's like being in a cult and like bringing people into your cult, and then once you realize you're in a cult and get out, that guilt that you feel of like, wow, I brought people in, that's what I see here.
I think there is that for sure. And I think as well, it's just, again, she's pissed as well. She's not just feeling guilty. She's pissed. I mean, imagine the fact that she invested so much in building this, like you said, and building it for everybody, for the children, as she says. And now she finds out that this is really just for Charles and Eric and Moira's image, because that's what their shit's about. They
Yeah.
claim, and this is why they're villains, that, oh, but this is for the betterment of all kinds and everything. No, it's all about your game. I mean, you saw how butthurt they all are over Destiny, which, to be fair, Eric is the least butthurt out of the three of them, but he's still butthurt because he has to be because of Charles and Moira. But, like,
I mean,
my God.
Eric is the last person to be like complaining about people wrongly resurrecting people. Eric,
Right, right. And so
girl.
that said, Emma leaves, and so the three, villains here, the three shitheads, are trying to figure out if they've made an enemy of her or not. And then eventually Moira's like, huh, well, you two guys were right. We're better off with someone we know we can trust. And ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the ending that I actually knew nothing about until I got context from X Force, I believe, people to read X Force. So
Yes.
we're gonna go into that because now they have to have put someone else on the council. They have one more seat to fill after Destiny has been put on it. Now they are voting, and we get all these votes. And we get Sinister saying no. We still don't know who the vote is. Mystique says no. Prometheus, is that what's his name? It's not
No,
Prometheus.
Exodus. Exodus.
Exodus. Thank you, Jesus. I had it us at the end. Exodus says yes. Kate says yes, of course, specifically. She says of course, which should give you a hint to who this is as well, which will either please or upset some people, I'm sure. Emma says yes. Shaw says no. And Kurt says, I'm overjoyed to vote yes. That should also give you a hint as to who it is. Storm goes, as am I. Yes. Clearly somebody that all three of them know. Kurt, Storm, and Kate, they're all very close to this person. Charles says yes. Menio votes yes. Destiny votes no, which I think is interesting because it's interesting Destiny voted no because her vote still doesn't change a damn thing. The vote is still in favor of yeses, and she can see that technically in her vision, so that interests me. Anyways, it's 7-4, 4 against, and now everybody, the member on this council, the last seat, is going to somebody that they feel they can trust, not just because they're like, oh, this is such a good person and all this, and they're easy to manipulate emotionally, but because there's some apparently literal mind control happening. Colossus, welcome to the council. And the last words are, in him we can trust. Huh, must be easy when somebody's under mind control, assholes.
So I don't think Xavier knows he's under mind control. That's number one. I don't think he knows it. That's not so. That's first. Second, it's 100% true that Colossus was chosen because Xavier and Magneto think he's the most. It's not that they can trust him; it's that they can manipulate him. Like, let's be real. I love him to death. He's adorable, sweet baby angel. But Piotr, I mean, he's very naive and he's very sweet. And he's somebody, and we've seen it over and over in comics. He is somebody who will do anything for the people he loves. He sacrificed his life for his sister. So, and I think Xavier ranks amongst the people he loves. So, because I mean, he was very young when he joined the X-Men. So I think that it's fair to say that he is someone that they can manipulate. Like I said, when they said we need someone that we can trust, I'm like racking my brain thinking, who the hell are they going to bring on? Because I can't think of a single person that they would bring on that, because I'm thinking like, most of the people that they would consider are already people who have other roles, are not going to come on the Quiet Council. So I'm like, who would they do? Who would they bring? And when I saw it was Colossus, I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, okay. It's not about trust. It's about manipulation. But then, see, I don't read X-Force. So then I'm hearing about all this mind control stuff in X-Force, and I'm like, oh, shit, Xavier, we're still 500 steps ahead of you. Like, you're still getting owned, but just by somebody else. I mean, can we just
do we know in X-Force who's mind controlling him? Because, and that's the thing too,
his brother. It's his brother. It's Mikhail Rasputin.
So here's the thing, though, like, I don't think Xavier is that oblivious, especially now that he's been caught such off guard in this issue where he wasn't ahead of the game. I think, especially because he's a fucking telepath, he's got to know Colossus is under somebody's control. Who's controlling the arm? Mikhail. I bet you he's gonna make deals just like Mystique made with other people to get Destiny on the council. Xavier somehow. I don't know where Mikhail is in terms of, his personality or anything right now, to be fair, in the comics, because I don't read X-Force or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised if Xavier stooped low enough to Mystique's level, to levels lower than Mystique, to go make a deal with him saying, hey, you can keep mind controlling your brother here. Just when I need something, you gotta do this for me, please? Cool, thanks. And he gives him something. Like, fuck!
So I don't put that past Xavier at all. I don't put that past Xavier because he's that awful. I do want to throw one other thing out there in that, just in the human experience, like when you have something that you have thought out very carefully, and you think that you have outsmarted your foe, and then it turns out that they are starting to outsmart you. Sometimes in that panic, you start to make decisions without actually thinking them through. Like, you just start like pulling and making all these decisions that don't make that, like, you haven't made actually through. And that's, see, I don't disagree with you. And I think it's possible that that's the case. I also think that it's possible that, like, they really didn't even think this through. They were just like, we can probably manipulate Colossus. Let's bring him in. So I think it could go either way.
I think it's more despicable than that, though. I mean, I agree with you, and that's why I think it's more despicable, because, yeah, it'd be so easy to just say, oh, let's just manipulate him. No, now that Xavier's pissed, now he has to go to these desperate lengths to try to be more ahead of everybody. He can't just keep up now. He's getting desperate, right? They're all getting desperate. So now he's gonna, he's not only gonna say, let's try and manipulate Colossus. He's gonna check his mind, make sure he's still the normal Colossus. Then he'll probably see, oh, he's being mind controlled. Huh? Wonder who's mind controlling him. He's like, oh, he is. All right, let me go talk to Mikhail. Let me go talk to his brother. Then he's gonna manipulate him. Which again, you're absolutely right. Even normally, as despicable as Charles is, he wouldn't normally do that, especially without heavy consideration of how that could have a ripple effect and go against him, especially working with an asshole or slash villain like Mikhail, right? But he's gonna do it anyway because he's desperate, because he's stooping as low as villains do, because he is a villain. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Girl, I never in my life thought I would meet someone who hated Xavier more than me, but kudos to you. I love it. I love it. I'm sitting here to myself. I'm like, I can't believe there's somebody in this world who has a worse take on Xavier than me, but I'm living for it. I'm living for every moment.
Bruh, it's wild because maybe we should have an episode on that. I used to like
we'll
as a
get
kid.
to it.
You grow up when you're a kid, you're like, oh yeah, he created X-Men. Now you're just like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. And he is. And I love the fact that Hickman and these other writers have been embracing that, and they are showing that, because even though Magneto's by his side, Magneto is not the villain. The two villains are Moira and Charles. And at the end of the day, Charles is the greatest villain out of the three of them, I would argue. But that's a talk for another day. Come bother me, guys, in the Discord or on Twitter to talk about it, because I have many thoughts and feelings, clearly.
Oh, we all do. We all do. I have so many feelings. I had so many feelings about this specific issue. Just when I first read through it. Oh, one thing we didn't mention that I do want to mention was when they were talking about the vote. Xavier mentions that, Nightcrawler voted with Mystique. We should have seen that coming. I disagree. That bothered me. That bothered me more than Nightcrawler voting with Mystique. Because the thing is that I do believe that the way that Hickman set it up and the way that he wrote it is that we're supposed to infer that there's something behind the scenes there, and that's why he voted the way he did. But that Charles is just like, oh, that makes sense. He would totally vote for the woman who abandoned him and has tried to kill him several times. And has tried to kill his friends several times. That to me was like, do you know this person who has called you his father several times, many times?
To be fair, Charles does. And not to give credit to Charles, because I want to agree with you and say, there's no way he would. But honestly, it is predictable. He has mommy issues. But at the end of the day, Kurt is one of those people, and we saw this in Way of X as well, not with his mom specifically, but in other themes, where at the end of the day, no matter how upset he gets, no matter how passive-aggressive he gets, or how much he's like, this is wrong, at the end of the day, family gets his heart. That's why he still cares about people like Charles, who he knows have done despicable things, but he still sees Charles as his father. And that's not even his biological father. Mystique is his biological mother. And for him, that is something. I'm so frustrated that Charles thought that. I think my disappointment was that Charles said that in such a way that he's like, oh, we think this little of him. Of course he would do that. Fuck off, Charles.
I agree.
Doesn't make him any lesser at all.
I disagree with you that he would have he would put that much stock in biological connections, only because he was adopted. He was raised by someone who was not his biological mother. And he has clearly much more of a connection with her. And much more of a connection with her daughter than, he has with, his own mother.
I wasn't saying biology is everything to him, but I'm just saying that at the end of the day, even though it's complicated and stuff, I'm just thinking of an X-Men Evolution episode 2. At the end of the day, that's his mother. And there are people, my own father's like that, where, there are people in your life that people are like, hey, this isn't a great person. And they're like, oh, but this is my dad, or this is my mom, or this is my sister. They're like, I know this person's terrible, but there's still this. Kurt is very much like that in a lot of ways. So, Mystique's done beyond unforgivable things, and yet he still sees her as his mother.
I agree with that.
That's a whole other episode, I feel like.
I totally agree. I agree with that. Where I disagree when it comes to this vote is for a seat on the council, which arguably could lead to huge decisions to the future of mutant kind. I don't believe that he would just be like, I'm going to vote yes for good boy mommy points.
No, for sure. And again, that's where Charles is an asshole, because even if he's like, oh, I could have seen him voting for voting because of his mom, he just says in a way like, oh, of course he votes for his mom, when, like
Yeah,
you and I
exactly.
agree, there's more layers to it. He didn't just do that just because, oh, his mom said so. There's layers we have yet to see. So yeah, that's all I'm saying is I don't think I don't think Charles was wrong for being like, oh, well, it makes sense he'd vote this way, but it was fucking rude and fucking disgusting how Charles uses that to downplay and kind of attack Kurt's character in that way. Like, fuck off.
I'm gonna say it was wrong because Charles Xavier is always wrong, and we're gonna do it right now. Charles gaslighter Xavier right now. That's what it is. He's a gaslighter. So I also want to tell everybody, if you've heard, I don't know if you heard clinking, but I've been drinking a wine called Prophecy for tonight to celebrate Destiny, because she's been reading these bitches to filth, just telling them all their business.
Destiny is tearing everybody up, as she should, and Mystique is just her hot ass wife just watching it and being like, God bless, this is exactly what I brought you back for. Exactly.
And let
And
me
I
tell
just
you,
want to
I love it. I love every moment of it.
fact, and I just want to say, I think it's amazing how a couple that wasn't even canon back when Destiny originally died, right, became not only canon finally after decades, but became canon as wives and all this stuff. And now Destiny's back from dead and they're back together. They are basically holding the entire fate of not only the X-Men universe, but, and because they're in the Marvel universe, the entire fate of the Marvel universe in their hands. A gay ass couple that nobody has cared about, or so many people have not cared about for the longest time, and people have thrown under the rug for decades, now controls everything. So much that the only other person that can have any control over that, which is Moira, is shitting her pants over it.
She
I just
is.
think that's
She really
amazing.
is.
The gays have won. The agenda is winning. Thank you so much, everyone.
I just want to point out one little thing before we go off. It's not a surprise to hear that Destiny and Mystique are wives. Like, that's like, oh, they're married. Okay, that's that's, yeah, okay, that's old news. You know what I mean? That's not, you know. But what's amazing is the first time that was ever referred to was in House of X and Powers of X. So, or was it when she says, "Bring back, I want my wife back." I don't remember the exact
That
issue.
was in X-Men number 6.
X-Men number 6. There we go. So, which was in the past couple of years. Yeah, it was in the past couple of years. So the point I'm making is that we have taken for granted for so many years that, like, oh yeah, they're together. They've been together all this time. A lot of that has to be lended to the fact that fandom fills in a lot of the spaces where, when those stories can't be told by the main sources because of
No, they
whatever.
can't be told, is that people are choosing not to tell them. I have no leeway for people, especially at this point, going, oh, you know what? We can't put gays, or we can't make main characters gay. Take a
Oh
nap,
yeah, yeah.
guys. The fandom won.
At this point, forget it. Like, you can't. There's no excuse. I mean, but for decades there was a code, and all this BS they had to follow. There were all editorial mandates. But like, at this now, it's great to see all of these things, all of these seeds that have been planted, finally germinating and growing into this amazing flower that we can now
Yeah,
enjoy.
absolutely. And yeah, I think I'm excited to see, because I think the Inferno is starting the second issue. It's really starting to get a flame to it and stuff, and I'm excited to see
Starting to heat it up.
I'm excited to see what happens, because Inferno only has 2 more issues. It's got 3 and 4, and I number 3 does not come out until December. So guys, we got to hang in there. We got to keep losing our mind.
Listen, it's amazing. We've had a great time, and I hope you guys had a great time too. And I just want to, remind you can come find me on Twitter at the OG Nocturne. That's NACHTURNE. And so we just actually set up a website for us. We are at simplyamazingpod.com. So you can come find us there. All of our information is there for right now. We're kind of in the process of setting it up. I think this weekend I might take a stab at it, maybe on Halloween while I'm giving out my. Listen, I decided to be the house on the block that gives out the full size candy bars. So if you are in my area, come by, because I'm only giving out the full size.
You're giving out the prophecies
It's gonna
too,
be
because I'll come
good.
by and get a bottle of that.
Listen, if you come to my house and you say these words, you say, Kurt and Wanda
Jesus.
belong together forever, and you come to my house, I will give you a bottle of wine. I don't even know where I'm going to get it from because I have no wine in my house because I'm about to drink the rest of the wine I have. But I will give you a bottle of wine if you find my house and say those words to me in my face. It'll happen, 100%. But yeah, so come find us at the simplyamazingpod.com. You're going to find us there. All of our stuff is there. You can follow us at Simply Amazing Pod without the A. So it's Simply AMZING Pod. And girl, tell us about you too.
You can find me on Twitter at friendlymBHDby. Hunt me down there. There's a link on my profile to all my other links. Come bother me. I write reviews for a billion things. I'm trying to be more active in our Nightcrawler Discord, so come bother me there too. Lisa's there all the time as well.
I'm all the time.
Just come bother us. Sorry we didn't get to answer more questions.
It's no bother.
This was already almost an hour, and we only did one question, but we got to one at least.
It is no bother. Listen, it's no bother. We love having you. We love seeing you. And I just want to say it for that person out there who is looking at your body and saying to yourself, should I be resurrected with a younger body? Girl, you look good just the way you are. I love you just the way you are. And you are simply amazing.